A lot of players should feel really good about where they're at with name, image, and likeness. So NIL, those are three letters that you see put together a whole lot. And I've asked the question, you've asked the question, a lot of people have asked the question, what is it? What is NIL? All encompassing. What's this going to mean? Well, it's starting to become clearer. As we said, it was going to take a little while for this fog to clear, and it still hasn't totally cleared. We don't know what this entire landscape is going to look like 3 or 4 years down the road. But as this story has evolved, and as you've known it's coming, and as state legislators have started to move on this, as the Supreme Court started to toss it around and whatnot, all of a sudden, you start to find out what's going to matter and what's not going to matter. Moods have started to change. Ideas have started to come to the forefront. Some other ideas have been pushed to the back burner. I've told you, and I will continue to tell you, think of this as an ideological marathon. It's not a sprint. No one had this thing figured out 5 minutes after it was floated, nor does anyone have it fully figured out now. Having said that, this past week has been perfect evidence that some programs are much further along than others, and I want to caveat that. I guess that's the best I can do for a caveat, because I'm going to touch on that on the back end. I said in December, though, and I said to open the show tonight, I'll say it again, there are going to be some molehills in the immediacy that become mountains. Then there are going to be some mountains that end up being molehills once we get everything into its proper focus. Well, it's starting to happen. So in just a couple of seconds, Jesse's going to cue up some sound because Florida State and Georgia Tech made some pretty public moves on this week. They are not going to be the last. I want to emphasize, this is just the beginning of a really, really big snowball rolling downhill. Florida State, I'm going to talk about them on the back end of this shot we're about to roll. Florida State did some things this week, but Jeff Collins had a really good part of his press conference in the last couple of days where he perfectly encapsulated one of those initial molehills that is, in fact, to me, the biggest mountain in this whole thing. So this is Georgia Tech head coach Jeff Collins. I'll talk about it more on the back end.
We were one of the first schools to partner with Influencer. And what Influencer does is it's an app that lets our guys have access to every single photo that we take at practice, we take at games, and we take at workouts. You know, within 30 minutes, Kelly or Ken, of the workouts or practice being over, there's 700 to 800 pictures of the practice or of the weight training session that our guys can rip and put on their social media accounts. That is a big deal to us. The number of cameras that we have out at practice every single day, the content creators from local that come out to practice to shoot and give our guys access to their images so that they can then promote it. The other piece that I think is in our DNA is we were one of the first programs to tag our players in all social media posts. That is a big deal to me, to us, to make sure when we promote something, we actually promote the player with their tags. And not all the programs do that, but that's something that we make a big deal of.
So that was Jeff Collins there. Did you listen to what he said? And if so, what does it mean to you? That kind of stuff has a tendency, once you get about 20 seconds in, it has a tendency to kind of fly over your head. What he just said is monumental. It's huge. It's a game changer. It's going to be at the very forefront. This is not a molehill. This is a mountain. So let me explain to you how our industry works and how it ties into this. You see this logo right over here if you're watching on YouTube. You see the logo. If you're listening on the podcast, you had to have looked at it before you started to play this very episode. And there's that Late Kick logo, and you see all those podcasts we've recorded. Or if you're on the YouTube channel, you see all these shows that we've done. You know how many of those I own? You know how many seconds of that footage and that audio that I own? 0. And I'm going to tell you why. I get a paycheck every 2 weeks, and it says CBS on it. That's my employer. And therefore, that is whose platform I am working on. And the content that I create while on their platform, on their dime, belongs to them. What he just said, he being Jeff Collins, and what Florida State, for example, came out and told you this week is, no. The way this NIL thing is going to work is we have an entire media apparatus. We're like a borderline production company here. We got millions of dollars worth of equipment and staffing. We're at every practice. We're at every game. We record every second of these guys' lives. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make it not only available to them, we're going to give them ownership. Do you have any idea how huge that is? In the content creation business, that sent up massive alarms and red flags. When I heard that, I rewound it and listened to it like 3 or 4 times, just like I reread and read again Florida State's release earlier this week to make sure I was grasping that. If I am a 5-star defensive back or wide receiver or quarterback at Georgia Tech or Florida State, many more programs to come, here's the mountain that initially seemed like a molehill. I am not only going to be going to their school on their dime, I'm not only going to have that GT or that spear on the side of my helmet, I'm not only going to be practicing on their practice field, playing for their university, on their platform they built long before I was born, they're going to give me all of the content that exists of me, photographically, video, and I'm going to own it. And you know what I can do then? With my 250,000 followers on Instagram, my 500,000 followers on TikTok, I can take it and I can use it on those platforms and I can monetize it and I can use it and distribute it as I see fit. Do you have any idea what that's worth? You have any idea how huge that is? In the content creation game, it's a game changer. In the branding sphere, it's a game changer. The programs that are going to be at the very top of this thing and at the very top of the sport 5 years from now are the ones who are going to understand how to perfect and own what I'm calling the NIL pyramid. And that's 3 parts. 1, you got to understand how to have the right things as a university. Number 2, you got to understand how to have the right things as a football program. Number 3, you got to be a marketing firm. University, program, marketing firm. And this is the very forefront. It's just light coming through the crack of the door from Florida State, Georgia Tech, many more to come, about what the actual name of the game here is. You remember when we first heard about NIL and everyone said, oh my goodness, this means that Johnny, 4-star wide receiver there from Pahokee, Florida, he's going to be able to go and do advertisements for car dealerships. Oh, that's going to be a big deal. It's not even what the name of the game is. The name of the game is going to be ownership of your content, of your trademarking, of your IP, as we call it in this industry. You own it. You own it. Therefore, you can do whatever you want to with it. That's the game changer. You're talking about peanuts in terms of potential compensation in some of these advertising deals and endorsements compared to what you can do with your brandability digitally. That's the game changer. And so now what's going to happen is, as sure as I tell you, Georgia Tech and Florida State made some moves publicly on this week, no sooner did I tweet about that than I had athletic directors and associate athletic directors in my inbox saying, no, wait just a second now. We got some stuff coming on this too, which is why I'm very confident in telling you I'm not casting these programs necessarily as visionaries. They're not doing anything that a dozen or 2 dozen more of them aren't getting ready to announce. I think a lot of programs out there want to wait maybe until this recruiting dead period's lifted and they want to get maximum bang for their buck, but it's coming. This is where the real name of the game is going to be in NIL. It is the ability to use all the immense resources at your disposal as a program to flex your media muscle on behalf and in benefit of your student athletes. All of a sudden, it doesn't seem nearly as dirty as you thought it was going to seem, does it? So that is where things I think are headed. That is the mountain. A lot of molehills, that's the mountain.